Hey guys, it's Cedar, and I am getting ready for Mind Over Matter, the psychology of trading. D. Cruz and I run through some of the head games of being a active full-time day trader. So I think he's here, but let me just DM him just in case. And while we're waiting, if you have any specific questions about the crazy trading environment we're trading in right now, and it has been crazy over the last 3 days, definitely tag us in Market Talk. And we've got some stuff we want to talk about, but also we really are here to answer your questions, your frustrations, and kind of just help deal with, like I called it, the head game.
And what I like to say is 80% of learning how to trade. TA and stuff really easy. You get better at drawing support resistance levels and seeing structures and whatnot, but it's all psychology and how you enter a trade, when to enter, when not to enter, when to sell, et cetera, and all the emotions that come along with that. But
Yep.
apparently my AirPods died. That didn't make the dying noise, so I saw you talking. I didn't hear you. And I just had to switch over to my headset here.
No problem. All right, so PAL testimony all day today, kind of entertaining.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you your thoughts on the trading environment the last 3 days.
Trading environments. See, so we've had some pretty massive moves. I actually rode puts down one way, and then we swung calls the next day, and now it's just back up, down, up, down, up, down.
Crazy was how I
Consolidation
described
and
it.
yeah,
Crazy.
really wide range and really wide consolidation areas here. So it's and a lot of it's you look back at it for the fact that it looks really easy to trade, but when you're actually in it, it's a totally different game. And I think that has a lot of learning curves in there as well, because that just shows you how being patient pays off. But really not typical price action that I like to play. So I've actually been trading a lot less, more so preserving capital in these weeks while we wait for a more clear setup and more of a trend.
Agreed. It's
Mm-hmm.
definitely an environment that teaches you to make sure that you're managing risk, you're not oversizing, because if you're oversized, if
Oh
you're
yeah,
trading a
accounts are
prop
being
firm, you're
taken left
getting,
and right.
yeah, taken out. If you're trading your own account, you're oversized, you're getting taken out. So it's
Smoke,
definitely
yep.
a challenging environment to trade in. But as I when I first came in back in October of 2021, I started talking about psychology right as I first came into the server. And as we rolled over into 2022, I said, all right, guys, it's time to buckle up because what we've seen in 2020, 2021 has been very easy trading relatively. It's pretty much you could buy long, close your eyes, and hold it for a couple days, and you were good. And I said 2022 is going to be more like 2018, possibly 2015, but a much more difficult year to trade, and that the real traders will show themselves this year. And it definitely was a more of a like real trading environment instead of just the buy and hold hopium crowd. So it filtered out a lot of people, which unfortunately thought that they were just great traders because they did well in an environment that it was a rock star environment. If you didn't do well, there was a problem, which, I guess our perception or our expectations are probably one of the biggest problems that we have as humans in general. Your expectations are what get you in trouble. Instead of responding to the environment, it's your expectations of what's supposed to happen. Definitely, I see as an issue that happens to us in the outside world, not trading world, and definitely inside the trading world. So what would you say to somebody that maybe started trading in 2022?
Last
And
year, I mean, it's
yeah,
or go ahead, sorry.
yeah, 20, well, like let's say like 15, 18 months ago. So they came into this
Mhm.
environment, they didn't see the rock star environment that you could just magically.
Yeah, if if you started trading last year, you're probably bored by now, or you've already there's probably a lot of traders that are like, oh, this isn't for me. it's a lot more patience in the game, but it's more of a realistic market than what was spoiled in 2020, 2019, and pretty much 2021. But 2022 is, I guess, the first more so quote unquote normal year, if you could. Or are you talking about 2022 or 2023? Sorry.
2022.
Oh, 2022.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Um, well,
Well,
I
because that
mean,
was our first down year. I mean, that was our first
right.
like reversal kind of pattern, at least until we hit into October.
Right, and then we kind of ran into start of 2023. I remember
Do you
that.
think that that's
Um,
some of what's happening as we're looking on social media and seeing everybody just trying to call the top more than I think I've ever seen? Like,
mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I stay off of all of that just because of that. And I mean, I like to have, of course, I like to see what other people think, but
Yeah.
now it's just, they've been wrong for months and months and months.
Yeah.
Even with NVIDIA, every time I look at NVIDIA, everybody's like, "Oh, this is the top." I'm like, "Oh, guys, I don't know. I don't know if you've ever seen a stock run like this." I mean, last example would be Tesla. Um, but it's a lot of just go with the flow. That's what I've been trying to do this year too. There's a lot of times where I'm like, I don't fully agree with calls up here, but that's what the setup's giving me, so I'm just gonna take calls. Plays out, you exit, take your profit, and you just kind of like, oh well, whatever. Like you don't have to fully believe in it. You don't, and I think that's where a lot of people get it twisted, right? They're like, there's no way where we could see higher, and then they form a bias like, oh, we have wars going on, we have all
Yeah.
this economic stuff, so they're thinking in their head, oh, there's no way the stock market could go up. Well, actually, war is actually it's revenue.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
I hate to
war
say
that
it,
that
and
means money. I think there's a high
so
probability many of them are not trading. They are analyzing.
mhm,
They're not actually trading live accounts. That's my general feel because you can't be that short for that long. And
yeah.
you can be short and be profitable, but you can't be that short for that long. So anyway, I'll just toss that out there and say make sure you guys
Mhm.
are controlling what your media diet is of who's telling you what and where instead of learning how to do the TA yourself and learning how to manage your emotions. So you're not allowing your emotions to run your trading portfolio. You're allowing the TA to run it. If a trade's invalidated, you're cutting it. You're not adding to it, oversizing, that kind of thing. So I posted back in 22. So this is in the pinned content. It was actually January 1st, 2022. 6 questions every trader should add to their trading habits for 2022. So I was thinking I could run through those. If you don't have, do you have anything else you wanted to talk about? Was there anything that you had specifically?
Like for I'm well for just whenever you guys are bored, like I mean there's been a lot of days where there's just been not really much actionable setups. You really just listen to what you want to do, even if you're at work, just close the charts. You don't have to stare at them all day every day. You can always come back, look at it after the fact. But if you guys start to feel yourself getting unmotivated, just take some time. I guarantee you, if you're away from it for a day, a couple days, a week, maybe not even that, you're gonna find that want back. Whenever you're bored, you sometimes tend to be a little bit lazier with setups, and you start to just kind of board trade, right? It's
Yeah,
almost
looking
like
for fun.
it's kind of like bored eating. You don't really want to. You're not hungry, but you just want to eat because there's nothing else to do. Same concept with this, right? Just like it's really a bad habit. You're starting to then you kind of start to get a little, you take a little not as comfortable as a setup as you should, or you're maybe violating one of your rules, and really have to look and see if that's one of the cases of why you're losing lately. And if that's the case, well, just pay maybe a little less. These times don't give us many setups, but just get ready whenever they do, and don't hesitate and execute. Make it quick.
Yep. Boredom is it's how you can define it is if you walk into a casino and you have to have money on the table, that's gambling. That's not what we're doing. So you don't have to be in a trade if you are trading a lot in this environment and successful. Obviously, we're not talking to you, but it's really going back to what you're finding yourself doing. So, my 6 were create a written explanation of your best setups, analyze your wins, and explain in writing. So you actually have it written down why a trade was a winner, and what you needed to see on the tape or price action, whatever it was, to help you identify that type of trade setup again. 2 is check historic setups and confirm to yourself that if they had identifiable edge, or was this particular win just an anomaly? And this always is going to go back to your journaling, which we hammer like crazy. 3 is,
Got a journal.
oh yeah, if you're not journaling, well, anyway, if you're not journaling, there's a problem. Analyze your mistakes and find the reason you lost those trades. Was it invalidated? Why did you take the losing trade to begin with? If the trade setup was there and the trade was invalidated, it's still well executed. If you were trading out of boredom, that's why there's a problem. And other reasons. Number 4 is identify the underlying motive for taking trades that lead to losses. Was it a statistical loss? So, right, law of averages, I have a 70% win rate, is what it is. It's been tracked for over, it's like 2.5 years now with bull trades, and it's higher than normal. The average is just slightly above 50%, but that means 3 out of 10 of my trades on average over an extended period, let's say over a 100 trade sample size, are still going to be losses. So identify the underlying motive for taking the trades that lead to the losses. Was it the statistical loss, or were you gambling without doing your homework and waiting for your real edge or your defined edge? If you were gambling, why did you do it? You have to ask yourself that. So if you're finding yourself in that high risk gambling type of mentality where there's no risk to reward, R to R, that we talk about all the time, why? Number 5, are your written setups working in every market condition or just some? Trend day, balance day, large swing days. Did you take this trade in correct market condition or at the best entry position, or were you not patient enough to wait for the entry position to develop? And I put that one in there specifically because I knew, and I had been talking about it from mid-November forward to 2021, about us starting to change into an environment that's called leptokurtic distribution, which is just 3 standard deviations on the daily type of trading environment, which is higher volatility if you don't want to dig into the fancier terms. So are they working in every market condition or just in some? And we were coming out of those 2 years that were pretty much buy a long swing and wake up 3 days later up 200%. Then number 6 is, am I using proper risk management, including 1 to 5% position sizing, 10% max on small accounts, and not allowing trades to run to zero? And small accounts is a relative number, but not more than 10% would be my suggestion. And as the account grows, then you scale it back to 5% or less. The larger your account is, the smaller positioning you have, which is why I actually pared down my main account and started taking 5% positions instead of 2% on what I was trading. Basically the same capital, but it allowed me to be able to deploy that money in other places. So I'm taking the same trade sizes that I was taking at 2%, but now with 5%, if that makes sense. So anything for you that you have really, I know you talked a lot about your changes that you made through 2023, so maybe even moving into last year's trading changes. I really wanted to talk about adaptations to different environments today. Was my main, kept coming back to my head of, people are frustrated because they're not adapting to changing markets.
Yes, I actually have a really good rule for that. And this has been really key for the strategy as well. One of the best changes that I've made in 2023, and I've of course kept it into this year, is identifying the day. Plain and simple, giving yourself enough time, 30-minute ORB, sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's an hour and a half before you actually get a clear picture. But right now, looking back at the day, just today, for an example, we had a dip, we got bought up. If you didn't give yourself enough time, you're trying to go short right here before we got bought up. Well, you didn't really see that, and maybe it's just really just identifying the day, not fighting against it. Are we range trading? Are we breaking trends? Are we selling pops? Are we buying dips, et cetera, et cetera? And I just keep waiting for that, and I'm patient enough to see more so of a consistent enough setup that I execute on daily, which is like a VWAP interaction, because you get usually a few VWAP interactions per day, right? So I've revolved the strategy in something I see every single day. So it's more repetition as well. So you see it every day, 3 to 20, 30 times a day,
Mhm.
depending on the day, of course. There's always going to be something. I always wait for, a potential low. You have your supply and demand, your first 30-minute ORB. If we're down at demand, well, I really like to take trades right there for, demand scalps, and then supply, vice versa. Just really consistent, just seeing the same things. And just if I'm not seeing it correctly, if I take a couple losses in a row and I'm just not seeing it right, and if I'm buying tops and selling bottoms, well, I mean, I'm just on the opposite side of it. So then I could either adapt and flip to that. Okay, well, next time I typically bought up here, I wanted to flip that to selling because we're ranging, right? And then adapting during a day is actually a little harder to do because then you're still fighting with just regular emotions like not revenge trading,
The
but you
way to
kind of
do
like
that though
want
is
that
to
back.
step away,
Mhm.
like you said. I mean, that's or something that
Yep.
at least for me, I had to install. So a couple losses, I got to get away. I have to not be still in front of the screens. Even if that means
Yep.
I walk outside my door, 8 feet away,
Seriously.
take a deep breath,
Look
look at the
outside.
blue
Yep.
sky and go,
Yeah.
all right, I'm gonna come back in and
Okay.
see, maybe it's 30 seconds,
Yep.
maybe it's a half an hour, maybe it's 2 minutes. You're
Maybe
gonna have to
today.
find that.
Yep.
Maybe it's tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you'll come back tomorrow because maybe you come back and you're like, I still want to buy here, and it's still rejecting. Okay, I'm in timeout. Nope, just gonna get out. So,
Right,
but
right.
yeah, no, it's key because then and just I think going all cash with that too, and just resetting bias, just being like, okay, look, obviously I'm not seeing it right, and that right there is really key because sometimes we don't want to admit that we're wrong, and that's just a typical human emotion, right? Where it's just like, even though we're wrong, we don't want
Right.
to admit it.
And just
So
keep
if you
asking
come
yourself,
back
do
and
you
you're
want to be
still
right
seeing
or
it, yep,
rich? Right or rich?
yes,
Yeah.
exactly, right or rich, yep. So then you're just looking at it, you're like, okay, and if you're still seeing the same thing that and you're still seeing it wrong, step away, call it a day. But yes, walking away honestly does a lot because that takes it back to what whenever we talk about being tense and just being upfront and all like hunched over like into the screen, your hands are on the keyboard and
Or
mouse like you're playing a
sweaty.
game, and really you're just, I mean, that's not going to change anything. You could be ready as ready as you can, but that's not going to change the way the stocks are going to go. It's
Right.
just not going to change the price action for the day. So you might as well sit back, relax, take a deep breath, look outside, look, get some sun, get some fresh air if you're feeling all hot, just kind of
Yeah. Heart rate up, palms are sweaty,
get away.
feeling stress symptoms. There's a problem somewhere. You're oversized. You shouldn't be in that trade. You shouldn't be trading in general, or you need a little mental break because there is just that recharge of capital.
Yep.
It's huge. So I'm going to pop into market talk now and see if we have any questions. We've got about 12
Absolutely.
minutes left.
But yeah, so those are the days where you just want to come back the next day if you're seeing it wrong. And like I said, I mean, longevity is the name of the game. Keep yourself in it for another day, another trade. Each day we grow, right? So each day we get better and better. Just keep yourself in the game long enough to keep improving. That's really all it is.
Okay, Moose asked me on voice, how long did it take for you to become consistently profitable? So I had 2 years of losses. 1 year of it was slightly better than break even. I made a little bit of money, so I like considered that I was actually treading water instead of drowning. So it was year 4 before I actually made real consistent money. So it's a long time, and I'm one of those hard learning personalities. I Yeah, that was in my middle 20s. But
Same
it's
for me, honestly.
yeah.
That third year, that rocky year, and it's just like you almost want to quit because you're like, I'm getting it, and then you're like, I'm not getting it. I'm
Yeah.
getting it. I'm not
Why?
getting it. Oh,
Yeah.
this is frustrating.
But
I want to
instead of it
quit. Screw
just
this.
being constant, like
Yep.
huge upswing, huge downswing, and then your
Mhm.
losses are much bigger. Yeah.
Yes, and then you're looking and you're like, dang, like, it's just a whole lot of
If I
nothingness
could have
here.
just
And
not traded that
yeah,
day, just not traded that day,
exactly. And then we
I
fix
would be
those
fine.
mistakes. Yep. And then boom, the next year it's like, oh wow, you know,
Yeah.
it clicks, you guys. It really does.
And
But
the
I mean,
thing you have to remember, it's a master's degree. How long does it take to get
yeah,
a master's degree in school? Well,
that pays you,
it's 10,000
excellent
hours
salary.
to be excellent at anything, and a master's degree in school on a regular schedule is 6 years. Let's say you're really motivated and driven might be 5, maybe even 4.5, but probably 5 to get a master's degree. So you don't want to walk into trading thinking of it as a get rich quick scheme. It's just not. It's a get poor quick scheme if you're thinking of it that way. If you're here to learn, to grow, to develop, and it's you as a human, because until you grow you as a human, you're not going to be a great trader because you don't have good self control in the right areas. Impulse control, patience, those kinds of things are huge. So getting over that second, it wasn't the second year, so I had 2 years of losses. My third year, so the break even year or slightly in profits,
You just gotta trust the process.
it was that I finally just was like, I have to figure this out, because as much money as I've lost, this is the only way I'm going to make it back. And luckily, my husband agreed with that, because he's like, no, I can see how this, you're right on the cusp of that. Where I think in a lot of instances, the situation would have been different and would have been you're done trading, kind of thing. We're either not going to stay married or you're done trading. So, kudos to him for sticking in, hanging in there on that thing. But the biggest thing is you ABL, always be learning. How you get over the treading water is that you're giving yourself props or a pat on the back for, now I'm not a losing trader, which is a hard thing, right? Because you're like, no, but I had that one that was 500%. That was great. Or 1,000%, or, 3 in a row that were 50%, whatever. It goes back to the journaling. The journaling was 100% what changed my life. 100%. If you're not journaling, you're not going to get over it. You'll just keep treading water, where you take those huge swings and,
Discipline.
drop, draw down, drop, draw down. And if you're oversized, still treading water, that's the first thing I would suggest. And the next is be accountable to someone. If you're not accountable to yourself, have somebody else review those journals, ask you questions. And if you can't explain it to them that you followed your rules, then that's probably your issue. That would be my guess.
Yeah, and for me, a lot of it is also just, you got to trust the process. You've spent, this is already 2 years of spending something. 2 years isn't anything. It really is. Like that's nothing. Like I remember in 2020, that goes yesterday. That's 4 years ago already.
Seriously.
Time is going to pass, and you're going to keep yourself in the game. And me personally, I don't like to leave stuff unfinished. Whatever I'm going to start, I'm going to finish.
Oh, yeah,
No
I
matter
will
how long
figure
it
this
takes me,
out.
I'm not a quitter. Yep.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that, please don't, nobody take offense to that, please. Because, it's just, you have to have that, that kind of rock attitude almost to, just
But
to
and
be
then you
successful.
also,
Pretty
along
much
with
anything.
that, is
Yeah.
tighten it up,
Yeah.
right? You tighten up what your habits are. So you don't take the habits that got you in trouble and use that attitude on top of those. You start tightening up your habits, which are all the things we talk about in trading psychology, on voice all the time. So it's, I'm going to figure this out, and I'm going to dig into why I was not successful. First, I have to identify why I wasn't. I was oversized. I clearly did not understand what I was looking at from a bigger picture perspective. All the reasons, all the things. I was scared, I was greedy, I was, all of it, which are all the trading failings. Every trader goes through them. If you're not identifying where your major triggers are and changing that, working on the process and using more just stops on yourself effectively, then that's where there's trouble. So I will figure this out. I'm going to dig in, put my head down is definitely the reason I would say, but it's because I also changed those habits and was just continuing the grind. And it's like thinking about rolling a gigantic rock uphill. It's just the grind. You just keep going. And I have a couple of graphics inside the psychology channel. I'll link that post back that I was talking about earlier, but make sure you're going into the pinned content and going through that. It's all there.
Are professional athletes born professional athletes? Are teachers born smart? Are traders born traders? No, we're not. We're all born zero IQ,
Yep.
and we build it, it's just how it goes. And it's at least we don't have to be traders since we were, 5, like professional athletes. Look at it like that. Professional athletes have been playing 15, 20 years. That's how they got to where they are right now. Luckily, we only have to do this 4 to 6 and we'll get that successful. Those 4 to 6 years will be right back to you after the first couple profitable years. You get those right back. May not even take a couple years, But seriously, guys, you gotta want it.
Yeah, and
You gotta actually
hopefully
have that mentality.
our goal is in doing these sessions and being live trading so you guys can hear our thought processes and see our charts and all of that, is that we shorten up the time that you take compared to what our time was, because I didn't have any of this.
I
The
didn't
only
have any of
thing,
this. I wish I did.
yeah, I
Had somebody
found
say,
trading in
"Don't
the
take a
zone.
trade today." Like, yep, yeah, seriously, and I'd be
Right.
like, "Ah, like,
Dang
thank
it.
you for telling me that." Seriously,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
there's a lot
So
of days where I'd be in a trade and be like, "What is this red candle? Wait, who's Jay Powell? Like, what is that?
yeah,
What does this
didn't
mean?"
even know about
Just
economic
lost
data.
half my portfolio. Yeah, exactly. So no, it's
Yep.
yeah, it's that's why we're here, you guys. We're trying to help you guys out, and also, like I say, I like to mentor and I like to educate because they say you don't fully understand anything or something until you can actually teach it. So it keeps me sharp. It keeps keeps us on our game. That's why I also like it as well.
Yeah, it's a huge piece. So giving back the education piece for me is the only reason that I'm here. And I'm here with my mom. She's living with us now, so I'm not going anywhere. I can't just be like gallivanting off across the world. And so it's a perfect environment where I can help what I wished I could have found in the outside world as far as coaching, not to the tune of $1,000 or $1,500 a month for a membership just to a group to listen to people talk, which is very much the norm and definitely not as educational as anything that we really strive to provide the best that you could possibly find anywhere as far as education, teaching you how to trade and how to think about managing your trading business. It's huge. So it's just all the stuff I just always think about. If I were talking to myself years ago, if I'm talking to my cousin, if I'm talking to, whatever, somebody who is struggling where I was struggling or needed to hear the things I needed to hear, that's how I approach what I'm doing when I'm teaching and streaming and all that. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap the video. If there's no other questions, I don't see anything else. But I will post this recap video. They usually take about an hour to process. So just in case you're just tuning into this, coming back from lunch or anything along those lines, those are all posted inside the psychology channel and then also on my YouTube channel. But my suggestion is get inside the psychology channel, start from the top, work your way through all the content, and then start again. Don't go, oh, I read through it one time. Start again. There are things when I go back and look at it and I posted it that I'm like, man, that was good. I was in, like that. I need to, right? It's going back, reminding yourself it's a constant work. It's not just once you get psychology, it's like the Holy Grail and you hear the angels singing, you're like, okay, it's perfect. I'm in heaven. It is just not as hard as it was, and things become much more clear. A lot of the noise has been removed. Last question. Moose asked, what do you think of prop firms as a sole source of income? If you have other streams of income, does that affect your trading positively? That still goes within the same answer that I have always for somebody ask me if they can be a full-time trader. I want you to have 12 months of your expenses, your living expenses saved up. And I want you to be consistently profitable over 12 months before you would ever consider trading as a sole source of income. Otherwise, the performance anxiety, the stress involved in that from a financial perspective will cause you to make terrible trading decisions and make it where even if you were trading them well, but you only had a month maybe of cushion or no cushion, and you're just like, build my wings on the way down, let's go, probably is not going to turn out well. 12 months, you don't have a losing month. And my preference would be not whole losing weeks, but for sure over a 12-month period, there is not a single month that is red is what consistently profitable is. That was Moose's follow-up question to that. Which consistency doesn't mean I, made money for 2 months. It's over and over and over again because the emotional strain of, oh, there is my official, I have to get off. The emotional strain of having to provide your income from that will cause you probably to fail. So thanks for hanging out, DeCruz. I will see you back on Voice this afternoon probably. So for trading, and as always, it's great to have these midweek.
I love it, especially on Wednesdays because Wednesdays this time usually not much going on. So nice reminder to keep our emotions in check and stay sharp. So nice to talk to you as always as well, and I'm sure I'll be here later when you're back.